The suspension bridge effect is a psychological theory that posits that a person under tension, anxiety, or fear may find another person more attractive than they would in a less stimulating situation because they're already in a heightened state of emotion. Anxiety and attraction create overlapping symptoms: increased heart rate, a twisted stomach, nerves, sweaty palms. The mind misattributes the source of this arousal to attraction to the person instead of a response to the fear. In other words, the suspension bridge effect tells us it may be easier to fall in love when you're afraid. Imagine you're a 15-year-old boy in rural Japan. Your best friend goes missing in the mountains for a week, in the dead of winter, in the pouring rain. The whole town fears the worst, but he comes back after a week, not really any worse for wear. And though his disappearance was strange, life resumes as normal. But you know something is not right, and only you know it. Because you went searching for him the day that he disappeared. And in the mountains, you found his very real, very dead body. Yoshiki knows his friend is dead, and he's the only one who knows. To everyone else, Hikaru is maybe a little different after his ordeal, but who in their right mind would assume that Hikaru's change in personality after a traumatic experience means he's dead and something has replaced him? Hikaru's return is a joy to everyone else, but it denies Yoshiki the catharsis of expressing or sharing his grief. He can't mourn or process through the death of his friend when his friend is alive to everyone else. How can he move on from Hikaru when Hikaru is standing right in front of him? The thing inhabiting Hikaru's body is a near-perfect copy, and for a while Yoshiki pretends that nothing's wrong, and tries to be grateful that this false Hikaru has returned. He hides this secret like he hides his other secrets, but it can't last. 6 months after Hikaru died, Yoshiki finally works up the courage to ask him, "You aren't the real Hikaru, are you?" The thing that is not Hikaru starts to melt. He says, "How did you know? I was supposed to be a perfect copy." And he begs Yoshiki, "Please don't tell a soul." He embraces Yoshiki, and the entity emerging from Hikaru's body nearly engulfs him. As this not Hikaru says, "I've never been human before, and I get to be alive for the very first time, and I love it and I don't want to lose it. I may be borrowing this body, but the way I feel about you is real." Yoshiki is scared out of his mind, but he holds it together and accepts his new reality for what it is. He accepts the love that not Hikaru offers him, and simply says, "Okay, Hikaru, it's nice to meet you." Because having this thing, this facsimile of Hikaru, even if it doesn't have Hikaru's interests and personality, even if it's a puddle of goo living in Hikaru's corpse, is better than having no Hikaru at all. The summer Hikaru died is this tapestry of grief, desire, guilt, loss, monstrosity, repression, acceptance, isolation, and what does it mean to be human? It's a slow unraveling of false leads and secret information to try to understand what happened to Hikaru. What is this new Hikaru? And what is at stake now that the head-eating god has come down from the mountain? The summer Hikaru died is folk horror at its finest. An isolated town, an ancient taboo, strange rituals, a legend of a wish-granting god. It's also a slice of life. Students attend school, have sleepovers with their classmates, buy their groceries, and go to local festivals. It's also a coming-of-age romance. Yoshiki is a boy grieving the loss of his best friend and secret crush. It's ambiguous if the real Hikaru ever did or could love him back in the same way, but there's no doubt that the thing now inhabiting Hikaru's body loves him back. And for a closeted gay kid in a small rural town, what could be more terrifying? The BL aspect is essential to The Summer Hikaru Died. It's not one of those stories where the romance is there if you squint, or you could take it or leave it at your discretion. Nor is it just bait to draw in a particular crowd. The summer Hikaru died is gay horror, and the two halves are inextricable. Like the Hikaru entity infecting Yoshiki, they bleed into each other. And it's beautiful. Author Mokumoku Ren draws with intent and intimacy, creating a lush atmosphere through striking blackwork, unconventional typography, and a dense soundscape. It's strange to say that a visual medium has a soundscape, but sound and onomatopoeia in this manga are overwhelming. There are times when the onomatopoeia takes up more of the page than the pictures do. When I read Hikaru ga Shinda Natsu, I hear cicadas. I feel the sweat and hunger of an elusive adolescent summer. I'm swallowed up by the oppressive, muggy heat. I can sense ghosts whispering behind me. An anime adaptation is coming in a few days, and it seems like the animation and sound design teams have done a beautiful job recreating the look and sound of the source material. I've read more horror manga in the past few years than 10 people will read in their combined lifetimes, and yet the summer Hikaru died feels fresh and new. It's intimate, with a small cast of characters, and sparingly but expertly used shock panels that unnerve rather than horrify. Mokumoku Ren accomplishes their particular brand of horror. My one gripe with the story is Tanaka, a pseudo-antagonist paranormal investigator from outside of town who is working for some mysterious company. His presence in the story is almost a colonizing force. It feels like he belongs to a different manga, because the story is so intimate, so deeply connected to place, this town in this region with these people and their dialect and their folklore. So Tanaka feels like a giant intrusion. He's only there to deliver information at convenient times, and I believe there are much more natural ways to deliver his information. The boys learn about their town by speaking to elders and researching at the library and accidentally befriending a housewife who's a medium and calling a friend's older brother who's studying in Tokyo and really into paranormal stuff. All of these things are local, and it preserves that intimacy. The story does not concern the outside world. Tanaka shouldn't be here, stalking these children. His most unforgivable offense is when he interrupts a scene that was about to be one of the most emotional in the series, just to say, well, everything you thought you knew is wrong. But he doesn't give coherent answers about the real truth or how he knows it. Mokumoku Ren accomplishes their particular brand of horror not through the grotesque or the shocking, or through action and overwhelm, but by slow tension. As we explore the mysteries of Hikaru and this town, the tension winds up like overtight violin strings. And even in moments when that tension is released, it still doesn't resolve. A hushed-up truth about the town's history is uncovered, but it only leads to more questions. Yoshiki tries to kill Hikaru and learns he's unkillable. Hikaru almost devours Yoshiki, and the relief we feel when he pulls away isn't relief, it's a stronger fear of Hikaru now that we know that he doesn't understand the difference between life and death. The tension tightens on so many different axes. There's the narrative tension of the mystery. What exactly is Hikaru? What is going on with this town? What is the curse that plagues his family? There's the suspension bridge tension. Yoshiki frequently swings the pendulum between fear and attraction, wanting to indulge his newly reciprocated love for Hikaru and wanting to reject this creepy thing wearing his friend's face. Yoshiki's guilt over his own desire and selfishness pervades his every decision. Is he just using his friend's body without his permission to seek his own comfort? Or can he let himself have this freely, knowing that Hikaru is dead and his dying wish was to see Yoshiki taken care of? This thing is not Hikaru, but to lose it would be to lose Hikaru forever. And this is a Hikaru who loves him back. The real Hikaru would never say the things that not Hikaru says. But why not indulge and play pretend while we still can? Even if it's terrifying. And this entity is dangerous. It kills. It shouldn't stay in the village, but Yoshiki can't let it go. And it's the uncertain and taboo nature of Yoshiki and Hikaru's relationship that keeps you reading. More than the beautiful artwork or the unnerving horror panels, Hikaru's monstrosity is a narrative metaphor and amplifier for Yoshiki's gayness. They're both enduring a choking secrecy. If I'm found out, they'll hate me, they'll hurt me, they'll want me dead, or gone. They won't understand. They'll send me away. There's no place for me. There's no future for me. When the boys were younger, a neighbor's son was cut off from his family and left town. And Hikaru thought it's because he was sick. But Yoshiki told him he wasn't sick. He was gay. And Hikaru doesn't even know what that means. It's funny and endearing and sad. Because this is the one thing Yoshiki can't confide to Hikaru. It's too shameful. It could ruin their friendship. It's implied that the original Hikaru, when he was alive, was straight. But even if he's not, he doesn't have the language to talk about what he might be feeling. His confusion about the neighbor's son confirms Yoshiki's fears, that there are parts of him that even Hikaru couldn't love. Because Yoshiki doesn't just see himself as an outcast. He is convinced that he's a monster. He's very obviously depressed to anyone who's paying attention, but it seems like nobody is. Those who are paying attention are children, who notice that their friend is off but don't know what to do about it. For most of their lifetimes, Hikaru was all Yoshiki had. Yoshiki's not close with his parents, and there aren't any kids his age in the town aside from Hikaru. But he had Hikaru, and he had Hikaru's daddy. And he knew there would always be a place for him at the Indo house when he needed it. And he loved Hikaru's daddy more than he loved his own dad. But Hikaru's daddy died when they were still in grade school. And then Hikaru died. And Yoshiki's still not sure if the replacement is worse or better than if Hikaru had stayed dead. Sometimes he can't look at him. He can't even look at the color orange because Hikaru was wearing an orange jacket when Yoshiki found his corpse. Yoshiki anguishes over Hikaru, both the dead one and the new one. From chapter to chapter, his grief causes swings from acceptance and optimism about their strange situation to guilt over his desire, to an abject terror knowing that his proximity to not Hikaru is changing him into something not quite human. We can pretend everything's normal. Nothing will ever be normal. I will try to live with Hikaru. I have to kill Hikaru. He's dangerous and he needs to get away from the village. I want to stay by his side no matter what happens to me. Their relationship struggles to settle into something easy. Yoshiki's grief for Hikaru and acceptance of the new Hikaru struggle to find a balance that will let him live in peace, even though he eventually realizes that a peaceful life with Hikaru is all he wants. Because if they're both monsters, maybe they should just be monsters together. This new Hikaru doesn't love, not like humans do. It has no concept of romance or sexual desire. But it loves Yoshiki. It really, really loves him. So much that it tore out half of its heart and gave it to Yoshiki for safekeeping. It doesn't care that Yoshiki is confused, or that he tried to kill him, or that he's gay, or that he thinks of himself as a monster because he's gay. Hikaru just loves him. And the unconditional love of a monster gives Yoshiki the freedom to love him back. And it's through loving not Hikaru for what he is, a monster, inhuman, not the old Hikaru, nor someone to replace him, but a new person, his own person, learning how to be a person, someone who loves Yoshiki unconditionally. That Yoshiki learns that maybe he can start to love himself. And that's when his feelings for Hikaru crystallize into something true and pure. All his life, Yoshiki hid parts of himself. And now Yoshiki wants Hikaru, wants to be with Hikaru, and wants Hikaru to live. Not to use him to fill the wound that the old Hikaru left when he died, but to save him. And if Hikaru can live and be saved, maybe Yoshiki can too. The story isn't finished. I'm trepidatious for the ending because I've been burned too many times by manga that start with a delicious premise and go off the rails by the end. But no matter what happens, the sense of dread and tension will never go away. Because one thing is certain, and the title itself tells us. Hikaru will not survive the summer.